Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today we are going to continue with the topic on Introduction to Java. In this set of slides, we will look at what does Java application look like, a little bit on Java Applet, Java API packages and some of the packages that we will be using, and then we are going to recap what we have learned last time on Java compiler and interpreter, which is the JVM. And then finally, we will learn the fun stuff, which are about string and also the print methods. By the end of this topic, you should be able to explain the characteristics of a Java program, the different types of it, and also you should be able to write simple Java code. Java is the internet programming language. It also can be used to develop standalone applications. So what does it mean by standalone application? It means that the program can be executed independently, either as the user interface UI or on the JVM console. Any Java class with the main method can be considered a mini standalone Java application. Java is cross-platform, object-oriented, network-based, and also multimedia ready. We will learn about the object-oriented nature of Java later in the course. Network-based here means that Java can be used to create any server client for communication. The history of Java. Java was designed to be used in embedded consumer electronic applications, and it was intended to replace C++. Initially, it was called as Oak. In 1995, Oak was renamed as Java, which is designed for internet applications. This slide here shows the characteristics of Java. Java is simple, object-oriented, distributed, robust, secure, portable, and also dynamic. We are not going to learn all of this, but if you are interested to know more, then you can look at each of these characteristics of Java. There are two types of Java programs, which are applications that refer to the standalone programs, and also applets, which are programs designed to run on a web browser. We are going to learn about the applications, which are the standalone programs in this course. Applications or the standalone programs are Java programs that use the terminal window. It can also have graphical user interface GUI that has windows, buttons, text fields, radio buttons, drop-down menu, and other graphical objects. This slide shows the example of a single plain-looking application that runs on a terminal, and also the graphical user interface application where it has a window, buttons, and text areas that take in the input from the user. The basics of a Java program. The basic unit of a Java program is the class. Application is a collection of one or more classes, and in a class, it can contain 0 or more methods and data members. One of the classes in a Java application program must have only one main method. Java main method is the entry point of any Java program. It is the starting point for JVM to start the execution of a Java program. Without the main method, JVM will not execute it. We have seen some simple Java code previously that has the main method. The syntax is always public static void main string args. In Java, a collection of related classes can be placed in a package. You can think of a package similar to a folder in a file directory. Packages is used to avoid name conflicts if say that we have other classes with the same name. It does not matter if the classes with the same name is in different packages or folders. Class consists of methods, and methods are designed to accomplish specific tasks. Import statements. They are used to import the components of a package into a program. Import is a reserved word. To use the import statement in our code, we need to write import and then the package that we are going to use. For example, over here, import java.io ***. This asterisk means that all the classes inside java.io. This will make more sense when we start writing our code and use the related import statement. For now, this is just for the theory part. Primitive data types and the class string are part of the Java language. They don't need to be imported. What does it mean by primitive data types? Java has 8 primitive data types, which covers integer, boolean, which is true or false values, byte values, characters, and also decimal points. We will learn about the different types of primitive data in topic 3. What is class string? Class string is the class that represents several characters. For example, the letter A is a character that in Java can be represented by the primitive type char. The word all that contains 3 letters A, L, and L is a string. To put it simply, a word, words, or sentences is a string. In Java, these values such as numbers and letters are within the package that is java.lang. However, we do not need to import them and we can use them straight away. So we don't have to write import java.lang. To create a Java program, we have to follow the correct syntax. In your program, it needs to have the class header, which for example over here, public class name, and then we have our opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. The class name used will be the name of your file. In the example here, your Java code will be saved in a file called classname.java. As mentioned previously, we need to have the main method to be able to execute the program. The syntax of it is public static void main string args. As this is a method, it needs to have its own opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket. This main method is within the class body. Programming style. In the previous topic, we have looked at the 3 types of errors, which are syntax error, grammatical mistakes in the program, runtime error, and also logic error. We need to know the common errors and rules that we might accidentally do. We also should use blanks appropriately. For example, when writing the code, some people prefer to use tabs to rearrange the code, while some others prefer to use spaces. Also, we need to remember to use a semicolon as a statement terminator. Otherwise, we will have the syntax error. It is important to have well-documented code. Comments within our code is important so that it is easier for other programmers or even us to know what the code or the methods are doing without having to spend time to go through lines of code. Also, it is a good practice to follow the traditional rules for naming identifiers. We will learn about this in other topics. This slide shows an example of a skeleton of a Java program. If we have any import statement, it needs to be written first. Then only we will write the class header. Within our class, we can have 0 or more methods. Here, we have the main method. Ensure that the curly brackets should always come in pair, meaning that if you have an opening curly bracket, you must have a closing curly bracket. Let's look at another example. In this example, it has the import statement and it imports all the classes from the package called IO, which is the input-output. You can refer to the API to see what the package contains. In the next line, we have a comment that explains what the class is about. Then we have public class arithmetic program, so that is the class header. And then we have the main method. In the main method, it displays enter an integer and takes in an input from the user from the keyboard. The scanner class is used to get the user input. To be able to use the scanner class, we need to add another import statement. So at the top, we should have written import java.util.scanner or import java.util.*, where asterisk means that all the classes in the java.util package. Let's look at another example here. The class is called count and it contains 4 methods, which are setData, perform_add operation, perform_multiply operation, and displayResult. Relating to the previous slide code, here we have another class called testCount that contains the main method. In count class before, we only have other 4 methods, but no main method. We need to have the main method so that JVM can execute it and display the result. In this main method, it calls the count class and the methods contained in the count class. This example is just to show that you can separate your methods and classes into different files or classes and combine it in the end through calling the classes from different class. This enables your code to be reused and avoid duplication. How to use Java? By now, you should have installed the IDE. We have also tried the online Java editor and compiler. To recap what we have learned last time, to create a Java program, we can use the IDE or any text editor. The file name should be the same as the class name. Remember that Java is case sensitive, so uppercase is not the same as lowercase. When we compile the program, it translates the source code into bytecode. Bytecode is the intermediate language. If there is no syntax errors, the compiler will generate a file with .class extension. To execute and run the file, JVM is used as the interpreter that changes the bytecode into machine language and then execute it to display the output from the Java file. This slide shows what you would see if you are using the terminal. To compile it, you will use javac and the name of the Java file. To run it, you will write Java and the bytecode name without the extension. It will then display the output from the file. If you use the IDE, for example over here, jgrepс, this is how it will look like. To create a Java program, the basic elements of a Java program include the main method, which we have seen before, reserved words that refer to Java keywords such as public, static, void, as what we have seen so far. Other basic elements are special symbols, identifiers, data types, expressions, input and output, and also statements. We will cover many of these in later topics. To create a Java application, it is important to understand the syntax rules, semantic or the logic rules, how to manipulate strings and numbers, how to declare variables and name constants, how to receive input and display output, and also to have good programming style and form. We will try and cover many of these in our course. We have looked at examples of Java programs. Let's take a step back and revisit the elements that contain in a Java program. A Java program is made up of class definitions. A class must contain a header and body, but can contain 0 or more methods depending on the programmer. A method has a header and a body, and inside the method, it can contain statements or tasks that the method is supposed to solve or do. To add comments, descriptions, or explanation to the program, // or /* can be used. Typically, // is used for a single-line command, while /* is for multi-line commands. Anything that is written inside the / or /* will not be visible outside of the source code. If you use // to write your comment, you only need to write it at the front. For example, / my comment. However, if you use /*, you need to close it at the end. For example, /* my comment */. Otherwise, Whatever that you have written will be part of the command, and you will get an error when you try to compile it. Let's look at the simple structure where we have the class header and the class is called hello. This file is saved as hello.java. As written here, comments can be placed anywhere in your code, so it can be at the top, in the middle, at the last line, or even after you have written public class hello /my comment. That is valid as well. Similar to the previous code, this class is called myProgram and it contains the main method. And as you can see over here, for the main method, it has its own opening curly bracket and closing curly bracket, and that method is within the class. So towards the end, we have the closing curly bracket that refers to the class. To recap, this figure shows the steps in processing a Java program and where the different types of errors could happen. When we have our Java code and compile it, if there's no syntax error, it will produce the bytecode. Syntax error refers to any grammatical mistakes in the program. The bytecode is run using the JVM interpreter. If it terminates unexpectedly, that means that runtime error has been detected. The code needs to be corrected. If the output shows different result than expected, it means that it has logic error. So far, we have looked at the standalone programs. Now, let's look at applets. So what is an applet? Applet is a Java program that is embedded within a web page and executed by a web browser. Applet is a program written in a Java programming language that can be included in the HTML page. When you use a Java technology-enabled browser to view a page that contains an applet, the applet's code is transferred to your system and executed by the browser's JVM. However, most browsers nowadays do not support applet anymore. Java application is a standalone program with a main method. A Java applet is a program that is intended to be transported over the web and executed using a web browser. An applet does not have a main method. Instead, there are several special methods that serve the specific purpose of it. For example, applet has the init and also pin methods. This slide describes about the pin method. However, as we are not learning how to write the applet, we are not going to go into detail about this. You can try and run this code and see what would be the output of it. You can run this through your IDE. This is what will appear on your screen when you run the code. The applet is embedded into the HTML file using a tag that references the bytecode file of the applet. The bytecode version of the program is transported across the web and executed by JVM. This is how the HTML will look like, where you can see that we have applet code equal to Einstein.class, where that file is the bytecode. Java platform. Java is different with other platforms because it is only a software to execute an application and it can be run on different hardware. So that's why Java is platform independent. Java has two components, the JVM and also the Java API. It can run on any platform without the need to recompile. More explanation on JVM. So JVM, it converts the bytecode into the machine language and then execute it. So we will get our output that we have written in our code. Java API, which stands for Java Application Programming Interface, is the pre-written code or predefined classes. These classes are organized into packages of similar topics. Previously, when we learned about the import statement, we have seen an example of the import statement for scanner. We have seen import java.util.* and also import java.util.scanner. Scanner is a class that is contained in the util package. We are using the predefined class without having to write our own scanner class, or to write a class that enables us to take an input from the keyboard, for example. To summarize, we have looked at the Java program structure, the skeleton of it, and the import statements and API, which is the predefined classes. We have also briefly seen what an applet is and the sample code of it. That's all for this part. I will see you in the next video.